Hey, welcome to my channel. I'm Naveed and this math support. My only intention here is to make maths less scary to learn. So we'll go over lessons and problems step by step as clear as it possibly can so they can help you. So let's dive in. Now for today, we're going to do review of rational expressions, and this is for the final exam review, and this is specifically for the grade 10 level. Okay, let's go through it. Simplify, we have this expression. We want to simplify this rational expression. The first thing that we need to do is to factor everything that we can. So we have to factor the numerator and we have to factor the denominator. And to factor, so this is straightforward. Two numbers you multiply, you get 6, you add, you get 5. So you got 2 and 3, and each bracket it will have an x for each one. So here it is, x plus 2, x plus 3. Remember the rules again. Two numbers you multiply, right? Multiply, you get 6, and this, two numbers you add, you get 5. Okay, that's what happens. The bottom, you follow the same rule. You get x in both brackets, and then two numbers you multiply, you get -6. You add, you get -1. Okay, so in here, it seems that the 3 and 2 will be the option, not 5 and 1, not 6 and 1, because 6 and 1, when you add or subtract them, you will not gonna get -1. But 3 and 2 will give you that. The only thing is that the bigger number, the quantity of a bigger number has to be negative, because when you do the multiplication and expansion, you get -3x and you get 2x. When you add them, you get -1x. So here it is. That's the factoring. Now we have to go through and simplify. Divide the common factors. So x plus 2, that's the common factor. We can simplify that. That's divided by each other, and that's 1. The next step is rewrite. So final answer, x minus 3 over, x plus 3 over x minus 3. So that's that, okay? Now, while we were at it, what are the non-permissible values? So what is the NPV, okay? Non-permissible values. And we have to go back to the original expression, and when we factor that, the original expression, the denominator you're looking at, remember the non-permissible values, that means that you cannot have 0 in the denominator. Okay, you cannot have 0 in the denominator of a fraction. That's a non-permissible values. So when you look at the denominator, x squared minus x minus 6, well, when you factor them, what are the values of x that makes the denominator 0? This is when you have x equals to 3, okay, for the first factor, which is that, and the second is for x equals to -2. Okay, so there are two possible non-permissible values here. Okay, now do not use the last simplified form here, because that will not give you all the non-permissible values. All right, so here's question number 1. Let's move on to question number 2. Here's question number 2. This is two rational expressions, but there's a division operation is happening. So we need to factor everything that we see, the numerator and denominator of each term, left and right, and then we have to change the division sign to a multiplication, and don't forget to flip. That means that the second fraction would flip up. Numerator becomes the denominator, denominator becomes the numerator, and rewrite. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to now factor everything, pause the video, and then check your answers. All right, so these are the factor form of each of the expressions, and the expression from each of the expression on the left and the right. So here it is. Make sure that it matches x minus 6, x plus 2 for the top one right here, x minus 5, x minus 4 is the bottom one right there. Make sure that it does make sense, all right? This one, I just changed the division to multiplication, okay? So that's very important to remember. That has changed now. And then you have to flip. The denominator becomes a numerator, numerator becomes a denominator. Okay, and in this case, what do you have? You get difference of the squares, x minus 6, x plus 6, and at top, you get x minus 5, x plus 4. Now, I made a mistake here. This should have been x plus 5, x minus 4. Do you see the difference? Do you see why? Minus 20, so that's minus 20, but when you add them, add the x values, you get minus x, not plus x. So I have to change the sign here. So let's do that. Very good. So this is plus 5 minus 4. Very nice. Okay, we need to now divide the common factors. Okay, so divide common factors. Now it's a multiplication, so I can do x minus 6 and x minus 6 from both sides, because really you can remove this multiplication sign and put everything on the long fraction sign or the line if you want to. But here we are okay with that, and I hope that you have realized that this multiplication is actually not needed. You can just extend the fraction line and that would be it. Next one, x minus 4, x minus 4. Do we have anything else? X plus 2, there's no x plus 2 anywhere. X plus 5, there's no x plus 5 anywhere. All right, and x plus 6, no x plus 6 anywhere. Okay, now we're going to rewrite the final answer. What is the final answer? Here is the final answer. X plus 2 times x plus 5 over x minus 5. Okay, now if you have to do the non-permissible values, here is the part that you need to, okay, look at the original denominators, and first of all, the original denominators of the original function, original expressions, including x squared plus x minus 20, and after is being flipped. Okay, so there are many of them now. So you have to include all of these denominators first. So this, all of this, and all of that. That means we're starting from the left to right. X cannot be equal to, or x equal to 5. These are non-permissible values. That means that x cannot be 5, okay? But the way we write it is that we want to find non-permissible values. So x equal to 5, x equal to 4. Next one is x equals to, and then you look at the original one, right? So the original is all the top ones right here. So again, x equal to negative 5, sorry, not again, and then x equal to 4, which is the same. We already calculated that or came up with that. And then these. So x cannot be equal to plus or minus 6. So now you got yourself 5 of them. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 non-permissible values for that expression. Very good. Okay, let's look at another one. So in this question is a subtraction question of the rational expressions. Okay, so the first thing we have to do, again, all the time, when you're dealing with the rational expressions, the first thing you do, you have to factor everything that you can. Okay, let's go ahead and factor everything that we can. All right, we have a difference of squares here, and we've got a trinomial here that we can factor. All right, let's do that. Here is the factor form of both expressions, rational expressions. All right, now that we have this, the other thing that we need to do, we need to actually simplify this before we go ahead. So to simplify, make sure that you're dividing common factors. So for each of the expressions, obviously, so x plus 1 and x plus 1, you can divide. So now we can rewrite. Second expression, we can't really do anything to that. There are no common factors here except 1. So now we're going to rewrite 1 over x minus 1 minus 2 over x minus 1, and I'm going to put x minus 1 squared. Okay, just instead of repeating it, and that would just be too much of a hassle to do this, so just use a shortcut. All right, now LCD. What is the LCD? The lowest common denominator here. Okay, the lowest common denominator that has both factors, x minus 1 squared factor and x minus 1, is x minus 1 squared, because x minus 1 squared has a factor of x minus 1 in it, and the top and the bottom, so this you multiply that by x minus 1, multiply the bottom by x minus 1, and the second fraction, second expression, you just have to multiply it by 1, because we don't need to change that. That itself is the lowest common denominator. We get x minus 1 over x minus 1 squared minus 2 over x minus 1 squared. And the last step is lowest common denominator. They're the same. There's a common denominator. So we're going to write one of them and then do the math on top. X minus 1 minus 2 or negative 2, that is x minus 3. Okay? And that is the final simplified version of this rational expression operation. And now, if I can leave you to decide what would be the non-permissible values for this question, the entire question, and then double check. The non-permissible values that I got is, there are two of them. X cannot be plus or minus 1, or the non-permissible values is plus or minus 1. The reason is that the negative 1 is being repeated 3 times. You see that up here, right? So it's repeated 3 times. So basically you choose one of them. That's good enough because it includes everything else. And then the one that is not part of the NPV, which is x plus 1 and x equal to negative 1. All right, so remember, the negative 1 is coming from here, and plus 1 is coming from the x minus 1 factor. Okay, so that's what happens. All right, hope you found this useful. Also, the reality is that you need to practice. You need to practice. You need to practice. No easy way out of here. Okay, so good luck. Keep at it. Hope to see you again. Chat soon.